I shouldn't be telling you this. That's not just me being dramatic, it's the truth. If Nickelodeon knew I was saying this, I'd probably disappear. Hell, if they knew, I might already be marked. But silence feels worse than the risk. Because once you've seen what I've seen, keeping quiet feels like carrying a loaded gun pointed at your own head. You've probably heard lost media stories before, right? Some creep online swears they found a VHS tape of a banned episode, or stumbled on a weird file buried in an old hard drive. 9 times out of 10, it's just bad fanfiction or someone's edgy college project. That's what I thought too, until my friend showed me something that didn't just break the rules of television. It broke the rules of reality. I can already imagine you rolling your eyes. Another creepy cartoon story? Really? Believe me, I'd be skeptical too. But here's the difference. This isn't a story about a cartoon that was too disturbing for kids. It's not about edgy drawings or hidden frames. What we found, what I saw, wasn't just entertainment gone wrong. It was something alive, something that watched back. I keep replaying that night in my head. How casual it felt at first. Just 2 friends killing time, laughing at dumb videos, scrolling through the kind of stuff you're not supposed to find if you're a normal internet user. We were bored. We wanted to feel like we were exploring some forgotten corner of the web, like digital explorers in a jungle of abandoned sites. And then we found it. I don't even want to type the name, because if I do, maybe you'll go looking for it. And if you go looking, if you stumble on it like we did, you'll never feel safe again. I mean that. Every time you close your laptop, every time you turn off your phone, you'll swear you can still hear it breathing on the other side of the screen. I wish I could say this was just a nightmare, or some twisted exaggeration. But nightmares end when you wake up. This doesn't. To understand what I mean, I need to start with my friend. Because he's the reason any of this began. And he's the reason I'm still alive to tell you now. People always assume the start of a horror story feels heavy, like the air gets colder, or some ominous sound warns you of what's coming. The truth, that night started stupidly normal. The kind of night that blurs into hundreds of others, forgettable, lazy, and almost boring. It was a Friday, I think. My memory keeps trying to stitch it together, but all I remember clearly is sitting cross-legged on the floor of my friend's room, half-eaten chips between us, and the dull glow of his laptop painting his face. We weren't doing anything important, just scrolling, clicking, laughing at dumb videos. The kind of digital junk food you consume when you're too tired to do anything meaningful, but too wired to go to bed. Check this out, he said at one point, showing me some cursed video where a guy tried to eat a cactus. We laughed until we cried, then immediately clicked on something else, because that's how the internet works. You're always hungry, never satisfied. That's the thing. Looking back, I think the banality of it all is what makes the memory sharper. If we'd been doing something dramatic, maybe I'd question myself. But the normalcy was the trap. It lulled me into thinking the night would be like any other. We joked about stupid rumors too, the kind that float around online horror communities. Ghost videos so fake they were funny. True stories that felt more like bad screenplays. I remember rolling my eyes at one in particular. Some guy swearing he found a haunted ROM of a kid's game. People will believe anything, I muttered, shoving another handful of chips in my mouth. My friend grinned, the kind of grin that said he was about to one-up me. Yeah, but sometimes they're true. I didn't take him seriously. Why would I? He was always the one chasing rabbit holes, clicking links no one sane would trust, joining forums that looked like they hadn't been updated since the 90s. He thrived on that sense of danger, the illusion that he might stumble on something forbidden. Me, I was the cynic. I like to stand at a distance, laugh, and keep my hands clean. Still, I remember the shift in his tone that night. His voice got quieter, almost cautious. "There's this one site," he said, like he was sharing a dirty secret. "Not like the others. I've only seen people talk about it in fragments. Most of the posts disappear after a while. It's different." I rolled my eyes again, more for the performance than anything else. "Yeah, sure. What is it? Another creepypasta fan page?" He didn't laugh. He didn't even smile. That was the first time a sliver of unease slipped into my chest. He just stared at the laptop screen, scrolling slowly, like he was looking for something he wasn't sure he wanted to find. The normal sounds of the room, the crunch of chips, the whir of the ceiling fan, even the occasional buzz of a notification, suddenly felt too loud, like the silence between them was heavier. It was such a small moment, but I remember it vividly, because that's when I realized he wasn't just chasing a laugh anymore. He believed what he was saying. He believed there was something out there we weren't supposed to see. I should have brushed it off. I should have told him to shut the laptop and throw on a movie, but I didn't. Maybe it was his seriousness. Maybe it was my own curiosity cracking through the armor of cynicism. Whatever the reason, I leaned closer. "All right," I said. "Show me." And that's when everything began to unravel. He hesitated before typing. That's how I knew it wasn't just some dummy site or another rabbit hole of conspiracy garbage. My friend never hesitated. He clicked everything with reckless confidence, like the internet couldn't touch him. But that night, his fingers hovered over the keyboard like he was afraid of what might happen next. "Okay," he whispered, barely looking at me. "Don't freak out." The search bar glowed in the dark room, the cursor blinking like it was waiting to be fed. But he didn't type anything normal, no URL, no keyword. Instead, he pasted a string of characters so long and broken it looked like a mistake. It wasn't even English, at least not fully. Half symbols, half corrupted letters. The page took a long time to load. I'm talking way longer than normal, like the computer was thinking about whether it wanted to cooperate. The fan inside the laptop kicked up, grinding louder, the glow of the screen pulsing as if it might burn out. I almost told him to just stop, to forget it, but then it appeared. The background was nothing but black, not the flat black of a normal web page, but a kind of endless void. It hurt to look at, like my eyes couldn't settle on it. In the center, a single line of text blinked in dull gray. "Welcome back." I laughed. I couldn't help it. "That's it. This is your big, scary website." He didn't laugh. He didn't even look at me. "It knows," he muttered. "Knows what?" "Dude, it's just some edgy project." But even as I said it, I felt something gnawing at my confidence. The way the text flickered, it didn't look like a static animation. It looked reactive, like it was breathing. My friend clicked once, and the text vanished. The screen blinked, then filled with a crude, blocky menu, like something you'd see in a DOS program. 3 options. Watch, listen, leave. "Okay, yeah, very retro," I said, leaning back. "Some hacker kid's art project. Probably trying to spook people." He finally looked at me, his face pale in the glow. I didn't tell it to pull this up. It shouldn't even work. I wanted to call him paranoid, but the way the options sat there on the screen, so patient, so expectant, I felt something tighten in my chest. Like choosing one would be more than just clicking a button. Like it mattered. He clicked watch. The page froze, and for a second I thought the laptop crashed. Then, slowly, the blackness began to shift. A video feed flickered on, grainy and unstable, as though we were watching through a broken security camera. At first, I couldn't tell what we were looking at. A hallway, maybe. Long, narrow, with no doors. Just walls painted that sickly off-white color you only ever see in hospitals or government buildings. The footage shook slightly, as if the camera itself was trembling. "Where is this?" I asked. My friend didn't answer. His eyes were locked on the screen, his breathing shallow. Then something moved. At the far end of the hallway, a shadow dragged itself across the wall. Not walking, dragging. Like someone pulling themselves along with their arms, body limp, legs trailing behind. The quality was too bad to make out details, but I swear I saw its head twist in an angle no head should ever twist. I snapped at him. "Okay, enough. This is fake. You know it's fake." He whispered, "It's live." That word chilled me more than the video itself. Live, as in real time, as in someone or something was right now in that hallway. I leaned closer to the screen, despite myself. The shadow paused, almost like it knew it was being watched. And then, without warning, the feed cut to static. The menu returned. Watch, listen, leave. My friend's hand trembled on the mouse. What happens if we hit listen? I wanted to say don't, but the word stuck in my throat. Part of me needed to know. Curiosity was the hook, and I was already caught. He clicked. The speakers crackled, spitting out a low hiss, like a radio tuned between stations. At first it was just noise, but then voices, layered on top of each other. Hundreds of them, maybe thousands, whispering all at once. Some in English, some not. Some sounded like children, others like recordings played backward. Then, clear as day, one of the voices rose above the rest. It said my name, not his, mine. I shoved back from the screen, heart hammering. No, no, that's no. You're messing with me. He looked at me like he'd just seen a ghost. I didn't do anything. Before I could argue, the voices all stopped in unison. The silence was worse than the noise. Then, a single whisper hissed through the speakers, stretched and broken like the voice was too big for the device carrying it. Don't leave. The laptop screen glitched, the cursor moving on its own, sliding down to the third option, leave. It hovered there for a second, taunting, before jerking violently back up to watch. The choice was gone. I felt sick, like the floor under me wasn't stable anymore. Like we weren't just browsing a site, we were inside something. Something that knew us. Something that wanted us. And in that moment, for the first time, I thought, maybe my friend was right. Maybe this wasn't a website at all. Maybe it was a door. At first, I thought the screen had frozen. The words hung there, flickering faintly. Don't leave. My friend's hand was still on the mouse, but he wasn't moving. Neither of us were. It felt like something else was in control, like the air itself had gone heavy, pressing down on our lungs. And then the page shifted again. Lines of text began crawling across the screen. Not typed in, not loading, but appearing, as if the site already knew what we'd say. Gray letters scrolled down, jagged and uneven. Hello, my name. Hello, his name. I froze. My stomach dropped so fast I thought I might throw up. No, I whispered, shaking my head. It's a trick. You typed our names in before. You had to. But he didn't answer. His eyes were wide, his face pale, like he was seeing something sacred and terrifying all at once. The text blinked again. You've been here before. What the hell does that mean? I asked. My voice cracked, and I hated how small it sounded. Before he could reply, a small notification box popped up in the corner of the screen. At first it looked like any other chat window, simple, gray, with a blinking cursor. But the name attached to it made my blood run cold. It was my full name. First, middle, last. Perfectly spelled. The cursor blinked, waiting, like it expected me to respond. I shoved the laptop away from me. Nope. No. I'm done. But my friend leaned forward, his hands trembling. It's just code, he muttered. It's reading our cache, our profiles. The cursor moved on its own. 3 dots appeared, like someone typing. Slowly, words formed. Look behind you. I went rigid. Everything in me screamed not to move, but of course I did. I turned my head toward the dark corner of the room, the one the lamp didn't quite reach. And for the briefest moment, I swear I saw it. A figure. Not solid, not clear, but there. Watching. By the time I blinked, it was gone. The laptop chimed again. New message. We see you. I staggered back, my skin crawling. Turn it off. Shut it down. My friend didn't move. His eyes were locked on the screen, pupils blown wide. It knows us, he whispered. It's talking to us. Something shifted in the room. A weight, like someone had just stepped inside. Even though the door was closed and locked, the shadows felt longer, stretched unnaturally toward us, pooling under the desk and creeping across the floor. I grabbed his shoulder. Hey, listen to me. This isn't a game. But he shook me off, his gaze fever bright. You don't get it. Nobody else has seen this. Nobody. We're the first. The chat box blinked again. Not the first. Never the first. That silenced him. For the first time, I saw fear behind his obsession. His hands hovered uncertainly over the keyboard, then fell away. We just sat there, frozen, the laptop humming between us. And then, without us touching it, the webcam light clicked on. That tiny green glow. A simple bulb. But it hit me harder than anything else, because it meant the camera was active. I lunged forward and slammed the lid shut. The click echoed like a gunshot. My heart was hammering, my skin prickling with the certainty that whatever had been watching us wasn't just inside the screen anymore. It was in the room. For a long time, we didn't speak. The only sound was our breathing, his quick and shallow, mine ragged and uneven. Finally, he whispered, "You saw it too, didn't you?" I didn't answer. I couldn't, because admitting it out loud would make it real. But in my head, I knew. We weren't alone anymore. And we hadn't been since the second he typed that broken string of characters into the search bar. That was the first sign. The moment everything shifted from curiosity to survival. And as much as I wanted to believe we could just walk away, shut it down, forget it ever happened, a part of me already knew the truth. You can't unsee something that sees you back. The laptop stayed shut for maybe 10 minutes. 10 minutes of silence, so thick it felt like hours. Both of us sitting there like kids who'd just been caught doing something we shouldn't. I wanted to believe closing the screen had cut it off, sealed whatever we'd opened. But deep down, I knew that was wishful thinking. When my friend finally lifted the lid again, I almost shouted at him, "Don't," but it was too late. The screen blinked back to life instantly. No loading, no login screen. The black void greeted us like it had been waiting. The chat box was still open. 3 dots pulsed on the screen. Typing. Waiting. I felt my stomach twist. It's still here. He didn't look away. It never left. The words appeared slowly, deliberate, as if someone wanted to make sure we absorbed each letter. Hello again. My throat went dry. I wanted to close it, smash it, throw the laptop out the window. But my friend leaned forward like he was hypnotized. His fingers hovered over the keys, trembling. "Don't answer it," I hissed. But he did. "Who are you?" For a moment nothing happened. Just the blinking cursor, the heavy drone of the laptop's fan. Then the reply. "We are the ones who watch." My friend glanced at me, eyes wide. "Do you see this? This is insane. It's like it's alive." I shook my head. "It's a bot. A program. That's all." But the site responded again, almost like it had heard me. "Not a bot. Not a program. We know you." I swear, the room felt colder, like the words themselves had drained the air. My friend typed again, faster this time. "Prove it." There was a pause, then a new line appeared. My full name. I froze. My name on the screen. Perfect spelling. Middle name included. He typed again, desperate now. "How do you know that?" The reply came instantly. "We know your friend too." Then my friend's full name appeared, letter by letter, as if carved into the screen. He sat back, pale. It's pulling from some database. Has to be." But I knew better. Databases didn't explain the next line. "Your friend doesn't believe." The cursor blinked, then continued. "But he will." My chest tightened. I wanted to scream, to run, but my legs wouldn't move. The screen felt magnetic, pulling my eyes toward it. My friend typed again, his voice shaking as he read aloud. "What do you want from us?" The answer came slow, deliberate, like the words were being whispered from inside the machine. "A test." I leaned closer despite myself. "What kind of test?" The reply filled the screen in jagged lines. "Prove you can stay. Prove you are worthy." The menu flickered back into existence. "Watch. Listen. Stay." That third option hadn't been there before. "Don't touch it," I said. My voice cracked with panic. "Don't you dare." But his fingers were already moving. He clicked stay. The chat box expanded, filling the screen. The background bled darker, as if the void was swallowing the edges of the monitor. Then new words appeared. "First task, look outside." We both froze. "Outside." I repeated, my throat tight. My friend glanced toward the window, the blinds shut tight. It's just trying to freak us out." But I could feel it. That weight again, like something was pressing against the walls of the room. Waiting. The text blinked. 3:03 a.m. Look outside. I checked my phone. 2:59. We sat in silence, the seconds crawling by. My heart pounded so hard I thought it would break my ribs. 3:01. 3:02. My friend stood slowly, as if pulled by invisible strings. I grabbed his arm. Don't give it what it wants." He shook me off. "What if it's real?" That's exactly why you shouldn't. But before I could finish, the clock struck 3:03. The laptop chimed, a sharp, metallic sound that made the hairs on my neck rise. Now, he yanked the blinds open. For a split second, the street outside looked normal. Empty. Quiet. And then I saw it. A figure standing in the middle of the road. Motionless. Staring directly up at us. I stumbled back, my breath catching in my throat. Its face was wrong, blurred, like the static from the video feed earlier. Features shifting every time I tried to focus. The laptop chimed again. Good. I slammed the blinds shut. My hand shook so violently I could barely grip them. What the hell was that? But my friend wasn't panicking. He was smiling. A thin, manic smile. It's real, he whispered. It's actually real. And that's when I realized I wasn't just scared of the thing outside. I was scared of him too. The moment he whispered, "It's real," I knew we had crossed a line. The kind of line you don't step back over. The chat box pulsed on the screen, as though it could hear us breathing, and new words bled across the black background. Next task. My stomach dropped. Answer. A question materialized beneath it, the letters jagged and uneven like they'd been carved instead of typed. What is your biggest sin? I froze. Don't answer that. My friend was already leaning in. It's just data collection, psychological profiling, or something. But I knew better. The way the question hung there, the weight of it, it didn't feel like some cheap survey. It felt like a confession booth. His fingers hovered over the keys. We have to play along. No, I snapped. We don't have to do anything. The cursor blinked, waiting. Then, without us touching it, the screen flashed red. Tell the truth. The room seemed to tilt. Shadows thickened in the corners, stretching, reaching. My chest tightened with the certainty that if we didn't answer, something would come through that screen. He started typing. Something quick, something vague. I couldn't see all of it, but I caught the word lie. The reply came instantly. Not enough. Then, beneath it, look at your reflection. We both froze. Slowly, as if compelled, we turned toward the mirror hanging on his wall. I wish I could say we saw nothing. I wish I could tell you the mirror was just a mirror. But the reflection wasn't right. We were there, but not exactly. Our doubles were pale, stretched thin, their mouths curled into two wide grins. Mine tilted its head unnaturally, bones popping in silence. His lifted a finger to its lips, as if shushing us. I stumbled back, my voice breaking. Turn it off. Shut it down now. He couldn't. He wouldn't. His eyes were glued to the screen, pupils blown wide like he was under a spell. The chat box flickered again. Final task. The letters crawled down, slow, deliberate. Prove you are loyal. Beneath it, a small box appeared, requesting an upload. Upload a photo. What photo? I whispered, even though I already knew. His hands shook as he reached for his phone. No, I grabbed his wrist. You don't even know what it'll do with it. He yanked free. His breathing was frantic, his face lit by the glow of the screen. Don't you get it? This is the price. This is how we stay. Before I could stop him, he snapped a picture of me. The shutter sound cracked through the silence like a gunshot. I lunged for the phone, but he was faster. He dragged the image into the box and clicked upload. The screen went black. For a moment, I thought it had crashed. Then slowly, the photo appeared, not on his phone, but on the site. My face stared back at me, pixelated, distorted. And then it began to change. The eyes darkened, hollowed out. The skin paled. The mouth widened into a grin that wasn't mine. I felt sick, violated. It wasn't just an image, it was me rewritten. Words scrolled across the screen beneath the photo. Well done. You are marked. Every light in the room flickered. The laptop whined, the fan screaming like it was about to combust. And in the shadows of the room, I swore I saw movement, figures shifting, gathering, waiting. I backed toward the door, my chest heaving. I'm not doing this. I'm done. But he just sat there, staring at the distorted photo like it was some holy revelation. It chose us, he whispered. The chat box pulsed again. You may leave, but you will never escape. The screen blinked once, twice, then collapsed into static. The laptop whined, then fell silent. leaving only the dim glow of the reflection in the mirror. I couldn't bring myself to look again, but I didn't need to. I knew what I'd see. That grinning, hollow-eyed version of me waiting. That was the moment I realized the game wasn't about watching or listening. It was about submission, about letting it in. And thanks to him, it already had a piece of me. I should have walked out that night and never looked back. But the problem with horror is it doesn't always arrive as screaming shadows or bleeding walls. Sometimes it settles in quietly, like mold in the corners of a room. And by the time you notice, it's already everywhere. For him, it started the moment that picture finished uploading. At first, I thought he'd snap out of it, that he'd wake up the next morning, shake his head, and laugh at how far he'd let things go. But the next day, when I saw him at school, his eyes looked different, bloodshot, ringed with purple shadows, and somehow hungry. He barely spoke in class, didn't laugh at the jokes we usually shared, didn't even look at anyone else. But the second we were alone, he leaned in like a conspirator and whispered, "It's still there, waiting." I tried brushing him off, told him to delete his browser history, wipe his hard drive, burn the laptop if he had to. But he wasn't hearing me. His mind was somewhere else, still inside that site, even when the screen was dark. Every day, the obsession deepened. He stopped eating lunch, stopped hanging out with our group. His grades tanked. When I asked him what was going on, he smiled in that unnerving way. Too calm, too certain. "You don't get it," he said. "We're chosen." That wasn't a punishment. That was an initiation. Chosen. Initiation. Words that should have sounded delusional. But the way he said them, they clung to me like cobwebs. A week later, he showed me his arm. At first, I thought it was just a rash. But when he rolled up his sleeve, I saw the truth. Thin, raised lines were etched into his skin. Not cuts, not scratches, but symbols. Like someone had branded him with shapes I couldn't understand. "They talk to me," he whispered, running his fingers over the marks like they were sacred. "At night in dreams. They tell me what to do." That was the moment I knew I'd lost him. I tried convincing him to stop, begged him to listen. But every warning I gave, he twisted into proof. If I said the site was dangerous, he'd grin and say, "Exactly. That's why it's powerful." If I told him it was controlling him, he'd shake his head. "No, it's freeing me." And the worst part? He started dragging me back into it. "You saw it too," he'd remind me. "The reflection, the picture, it marked you too. Don't pretend you're clean." I'd argue, shout, even threaten to cut him off. But none of it mattered. The more I pulled away, the more desperate he became, like he couldn't stand the idea of facing it alone. One night, around 2 a.m., my phone buzzed. A message from him. Just one sentence. "It wants us to meet." No context. No explanation. Just those words. I didn't reply. I couldn't. My hand shook too badly. But lying there in the dark, staring at my phone, I felt it too. That gnawing pressure in the air, like invisible eyes pressing down on me. His obsession wasn't just his anymore. Somehow, it was bleeding into me. And that's when I realized, whatever lived on that site hadn't chosen him. It hadn't chosen me. It had chosen both of us. And one of us was already too far gone. By the time it all came to a head, I wasn't sleeping anymore. Every night, I close my eyes and see that twisted reflection staring back at me, grinning in the dark like it knew something I didn't. But for him, sleep had become something else entirely. He told me the dreams weren't dreams, they were instructions. And he followed them. The night it broke, he called me over without warning. His voice on the phone was frantic, cracking. "It's time. We're almost there. You have to see." I should have ignored it. Should have shut off my phone, buried it under my pillow, and waited for morning. But I didn't. I couldn't. Some part of me needed to know how far he'd fallen. When I got to his house, the lights were off. Every window was covered with heavy black cloth, like he was trying to keep something out, or keep something in. The air inside was thick with the smell of burning wax. Candles lined the floor in uneven circles, dripping into messy puddles that stained the carpet. And in the center of it all, he sat cross-legged in front of his laptop, eyes reflecting the screen's pale glow. "You came," he whispered, as though he'd been waiting forever. I swallowed hard. What the hell is this? His lips curled into that too wide smile I hated. It's the price. It told me what we have to do. The laptop screen pulsed with static, and then words began to crawl across it in that jagged, unnatural script. Mirror. Blood. Prove yourself. My heart hammered in my chest. No, absolutely not. This has gone too far. But he wasn't listening anymore. He picked up a shard of glass, jagged and glittering in the candlelight. It must have been from a broken picture frame. I recognized the remnants on the floor. He held it to his palm, trembling. Don't, I begged. Please, don't do this. He looked up at me, his eyes wild. You don't get it. This isn't punishment, it's payment. Once it has our reflection, once it has our blood, it can become us. My stomach turned. I lunged forward, trying to grab the shard from his hand, but he slashed his palm before I could stop him. Blood welled instantly, dripping onto the keyboard. The screen hissed, like it was drinking it in, and then the mirror in the corner flickered. At first, it was faint, like the glass was rippling, disturbed by invisible waves. Then the reflection began to move, not in sync with us, but ahead, eager. My distorted double stepped closer to the surface, pressing its hollow eyes against the glass. I stumbled back. We have to stop this. But he only laughed, delirious. Don't you see? It's already happening. The reflection reached a hand against the inside of the mirror. Its skin stretched too tight over sharp bones, its grin impossibly wide. And then, it started pressing through. The glass didn't shatter. It melted. That was my breaking point. I grabbed the laptop, ripping the charger from the wall, and hurled it across the room. It hit the ground with a sickening crack, the screen splintering into a spiderweb of dead pixels. The reflection screamed, no sound, but the kind of silent scream that claws at your skull. The glass warped, buckling inward, before snapping back into stillness. My friend fell to his knees, clutching his bleeding hand. You ruined it, he rasped. Do you know what you've done? I was shaking so badly I could barely stand. I saved us. He glared up at me, his face pale and hollow, eyes glistening with something almost inhuman. No, you just made it angry. The candles guttered out all at once, plunging us into darkness. For a moment, the only light was from the cracked screen on the floor, still flickering faintly with words. The price is not paid. You are both marked. That's when I realized the truth. There was no escaping this. Destroying the laptop didn't end it. If anything, it made sure the debt would come due in blood, mine, his, maybe both. And in that suffocating dark, listening to his ragged breathing beside me, I knew we were standing on the edge of something far worse than obsession. We'd opened the door, and the thing on the other side wasn't going to leave without taking something from us. I thought it would end when I walked away. That night, after the candles died and the mirror stilled, I left him behind in that suffocating house. He didn't try to stop me. He just sat there, cradling his bleeding hand like it was a gift, staring at the fractured screen, as if the words still whispered to him in the dark. I didn't look back. I couldn't. For days, I avoided him, ignored his messages, pretended none of it happened. I convinced myself that what I'd seen, the reflection pressing through, the glass melting like water, was just a trick of exhaustion and fear. Maybe I was hallucinating. Maybe we both were. I almost believed it. Almost. Then came the little reminders. First, the bathroom mirror. I was brushing my teeth one morning, half asleep, when I noticed it. My reflection didn't move when I did. Just for a split second, barely long enough to process. I jerked back, foam dripping down my chin, staring into the glass. The reflection smiled. I smashed the mirror that same day. Told myself it was stress, sleep deprivation, a brain trick. But glass is everywhere. Windows, storefronts, the black shine of my phone screen when it goes dark. And each time, I feel it. Something watching, waiting, pressing closer. He wasn't wrong. We're both marked. The worst part is, he leaned into it. Stop coming to school. Stop talking to anyone but me. When I finally gave in and visited him again, his room was unrecognizable. Every reflective surface was uncovered, mirrors propped against walls, shards of glass laid out in intricate patterns, bowls of water perfectly still, as though waiting for something to climb through. He greeted me with that same hollow-eyed smile. "It's not trying to take us," he whispered. "It's trying to replace us." My stomach turned cold. What does that even mean? He pointed at one of the mirrors. "They're patient. They watch, they learn, and then one day, they won't need us anymore. They'll just step out, and no one will know the difference." I laughed, a sharp, nervous sound I regretted the second it escaped me. But he didn't laugh back. He just stared, dead serious. That was the last time I saw him alive. At least, I think it was. Because a week later, people started whispering. They said he'd been found, but the details didn't make sense. The body was there, but it wasn't right. Too pale. The skin stretched too thin. The mouth torn into a grin no human jaw could hold. They buried it anyway. His parents cried. Everyone moved on. But not me. Because the night after the funeral, I got a message. From his account. "It's your turn now." I stared at the screen until my vision blurred, trying to convince myself it was some cruel hack, some glitch. But deep down, I knew better. He wasn't gone. Or maybe he was. And something else was using his face, his words. And now it's circling me, waiting for its chance. I've started avoiding mirrors, covering windows, even my phone. I keep the screen brightness up just so I don't see too much of the reflection in the black. But avoidance isn't enough. It never is. Because last night, I caught myself in the hallway mirror. At least, I thought it was me. Same clothes, same posture. But the eyes, God, the eyes were wrong. Too sharp, too hungry. And when I turned away, it didn't. It just kept staring. I don't know how much longer I can outrun this. Maybe I'm already gone. And this is just the last flicker of thought before it takes over. Maybe that's what happened to him. And maybe, when you look into your own mirror tonight, you'll notice it too. The faint hesitation, the smile that lingers too long, the shadow just a fraction out of sync. Don't ignore it. Don't convince yourself it's nothing. Because once you see it, once you know, it doesn't go away. It waits. It watches. And sooner or later, it steps through. This is the part where I should tell you it's over. That sharing this was some kind of cleansing. That by dragging it into the light, I stripped it of its power. That's what a sane person would want to believe. But I can't lie to you. It's not over. The sight's still out there, waiting in the cracks between the safe corners of the internet. It doesn't vanish when you close your laptop, or when you smash your phone, or even when you bury your mirrors. It lingers. It waits for someone curious enough, bored enough, reckless enough to click. And now you've listened this far. That matters more than you think. I told myself I was just a witness, dragged into my friend's madness. But the truth is, I clicked too. I saw it. I fed it. And once you've looked, it remembers you. That's why I need you to do something for me. If you ever stumble across it, if some late-night rabbit hole leads you to a black screen with those shifting symbols, that hungry silence, don't click the link. Don't even hover your cursor near it. Back out. Shut it down. Do anything but enter. Because once you step inside, it sees you. And it doesn't stop seeing you. Maybe you think I'm exaggerating. That this is just another creepypasta. Another spooky story to keep you awake tonight. And maybe that's safer for you, to believe it's fiction. But deep down, you'll remember. The next time your screen glitches, the next time your reflection lingers a second too long, you'll think of this. You'll wonder if it started watching you. And if you're tempted, if some sick part of your mind whispers that you need proof, that you want to see for yourself, remember what happened to him. Remember how he grinned with skin stretched too thin, how he thought he was chosen. He wasn't chosen. He was replaced. So this is my last warning, my last confession, the only thread of protection I can give you. Don't click the link, because if you do, I'll see you on the other side.